of downsizing to right sizing? You know,
Hmm.
what are we holding on to? What are we spending our money on? What are we spending our energy on too? It's not just about money. It's about energy. It's about who are those energy vampires in our lives that we need to get rid of. What how do we save? How do we spend? Do we spend because we want, or do we spend because we need? And how do those things h- how do those things feel? And I'd like to refer to this, talking about stuff, whether it's a people, place, or thing, as stuff, like you have to carry it around. Since Gloria just moved, she knows what she is very, very close to her right now as to what it's like to carry around a lot of stuff. And what does that mean? For me, moving to Poland and sticking to our 50-pound suitcase, which I just it's so interesting. Like, I can't even imagine doing that now. Like, I don't I like, that was I don't know what I was thinking. Maybe I wasn't thinking, but to move, we had 100 pounds together. He had 50 pounds, my husband, I had 50 pounds. And that was it. And we just moved to another country and, rented an apartment. And we're like, this is a great idea. Now it's like, well, honestly, what was I thinking? But now, I mean, one side of it, it's like, oh my gosh, I'm so grateful that I did that. The other side of it, I'm on this, I come to America once or twice a year, and I'm here for a couple of months. And I can't wait to get home now after being in America. I've been here for a month, and I've been in Idaho at my daughter's house. So she's got this big, huge acre property with, horse corral and chickens and skis, downhill skis, cross country skis, skates, boots, every kind of down weight jacket that you could want. And they all need that there. But when I go there, all I want to do is go home and purge more stuff. Like I said to my husband this morning on the phone, was like, he's like, so how are things going in California? And I'm like, great, but I can't wait to get home and start getting rid of stuff. And I do this every single time. So he's well aware of this, but like, there's so much stuff around me here that I get overwhelmed by it, and I want to go home and downsize more. Like, I see so much stuff around me that isn't touched, that isn't loved, that no one really cares for. And it makes me really focus on those things that I have back in Poland that I really adore. And I can't wait to get home and get rid of everything that I don't adore. And I talk about this, even as far as your wardrobe. Some of you may have heard me tell this story before, but when I was living in Arizona and working for Keller Williams as a productivity coach, one of the title reps came to me and said, I need some help. I don't, like, I'm scattered. I'm not following through with my clients, and I was like, okay, so we're in a state of confusion. So where can you show me confusion? Where can you show me mess? And she was like, well, in my closet. And I was like, all right, that's where we're going to start. You're going to clean out your closet, and you're going to look at everything, and only anything that you don't love and that doesn't make you feel hot, sexy, sassy, gorgeous, comfortable, like you're the bomb, is going in the donation pile. Everything that makes you feel, you're like, no, I don't have a feeling one way or the other. We're just going to put it in another pile for now. Everything that makes you feel awesome, you're going to colorize it, size it, like however you want to coordinate your closet. That's good for you. Some people do short sleeve to long sleeve, long pants to skirt length. Some people do it by color. Like however you want to organize your closet, you do that. Same with your shoes. Like if you have a pair of shoes that don't fit you right, they're going to fit somebody else right. So she did this exercise. It took her like a week. She just had this enormous full length, wall closet in her bedroom. She ended up, I can't even remember how many bags. My sister Bridget just moved. She got rid of 12 bags of clothes, like a big garbage, those big black garbage bags of clothes. Like wherever there, if there's clutter and if there's confusion or clutter in your life, it's you go to where you can see it's manifesting. Go to where you can, instead of working on your brain, which is intangible, right? It's just thoughts. Go to where you can see it and start unpacking that. And once you unpack that, then move on to something else. After you look at how you feel now that everything is in order. So I can't wait to get home so I can purge again, because I'm a book collector. Like every time I come to America, English books in Poland are so expensive. Every time I come to America, I think I've got 7 books with me right now that I just purchased, along with, I had a subscription to Mindful magazine, which is one of my favorite magazines. So I've got a year's worth of subscriptions that I have of magazines that I haven't read. So I'm, my daughter here in California said, Mom, no more books. Like you're not allowed any more books. So when I go home, I'm going to start purging my books. That's where I have the most, if I wanted to call it mass or heaviness, that's where my heaviness is right now. Which, if you think about where your clutter is, can you think about where a place in your life where you would go to? All right, Teresa, good. All right. So if you like started like right there, and not, like when I purge, I don't second guess myself, because I know that if I really find that I need it, I can get it again. Like it's not like it's one and done, because right, things are never one and done. Terry, where would you say that you're, like, where are you cluttered?
In my garage with boxes and stuff. And by the way, I live in on top of a sand dune, basically, with a bunch of other people that are also downsized in my stage of life. And when their garage doors are open, their garages look the same way.
No, it's crazy. As I when Terry and I were on before you guys joined in, I was telling her how I just fascinated by this topic. The whole Marie Kondo movement kind of spoke to me, although I think that she's a little extreme. And I can't roll my socks and fold my stuff like she folds. I tell my stuff that I'm very grateful that it's in my life, but I can't like be so fanatic about it. But the concept, and it's always interested me how Asian families can all live together and not kill one another. Yeah. And I think it's because one of the reasons, not only is it a cultural thing, but it's this, there's no mess. There's no stuff. And I think that it helps to calm the like all the other stuff that is that's going on. Gloria, have you unpacked yet anything, or where are you at with your...
Oh yeah. So I've been here barely a month. And I'm unpacked, but where my clutter was at my last place, I had a small place, but 2 bedrooms. So the second bedroom became my office. And then gradually over the course of 3 years, just became my junkyard for papers, organizing, especially paperwork that I just kind of let stack up. And so I went through some things before I moved, but other stuff I just threw it in a box and said, I'll organize it when I get there, which was a terrible mistake. But the price,
yes, I would say so.
Terrible idea. But the price that I'm paying for that, though, is that right now I can't find the title to my car. And I need to transfer from Arizona to Oregon, and I need that title. And I just went through the last box yesterday and I can't find it. And so now I have to apply for a lost title, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, it's terrible.
Yes. Yes. There's all kinds of information out there on, not only like, how to keep your paperwork in order, but how to die. Like, like how to die right so that everybody knows where everything is. Like that, I mean, that's a big thing. I live in a different country. How are my girls possibly...
Dish death cleaning.
Yeah, right?
It's a thing. It's a thing. Yeah.
Yeah. But as far as Terry, as far as what you were saying about the garage, so this is a cool statistic. 25% of Americans with a 2-car garage do not park their cars in them because they have so much stuff.
Yeah.
My daughter, both of my daughters do not park their cars in their garages. Neither one of them have a basement. So that kind of, maybe they use that as their, like as the basement part. The other thing that I thought was interesting about some of these statistics is, and this, again, this isn't just about, like the garage. It's about, everything else, like the people, in your life, that, like the all, where the heaviness is, where's the heaviness, right? So the average home has grown from, over the past 25 years, the average home size has grown from 1,000 square feet on average to 2,500 square feet.
In what period of time?
In 25 years, with less children. So we have become like these, the other thing that I did was like, all right, so where did Keeping Up with the Joneses come from? Which was kind of eerie. So there's two thoughts about where this came from. And one of them was a comic strip that was started in 1915, I think it was. And it was about keeping up with the Joneses, keeping up with the person next door. Like, I need to get more and more. The other thought about it is a very wealthy woman in New York built herself a palace in the woods in New York. and it was 25 rooms for just her. And this was in early 1900s, and her last name was Jones. And then the Great Depression came, and she couldn't keep up with upkeep of this house, and the house still stands. It's the photos of it are very eerie. It's completely collapsing. Somebody just bought this house for $120,000 in hopes of restoring it. So, it's and then the people that were around her kept adding on to their houses, and that's one explanation of where this whole thought process comes of keeping up with the Joneses. So what does this how does this weigh on us? So I think that oftentimes there's so many studies about the psychological aspect of stuff, about what that does it make you feel secure to have stuff. Like I get anxious when I have stuff around me. Like I have a 30-inch closet, and all of my clothes fit in a 30-inch closet. And when I walk into my daughter's walk-in closet here, I mean, I wouldn't even know where to start as to what I was going to wear in the morning. Like that alone would spiral me off into confusion. So does the stuff or the person make you feel secure? Or do you feel happy with more stuff? The other crazy thing is that because of social media, we see over 5,000 ads a day. So we're constantly bombarded with keeping up with the Joneses subliminally. And how many times do we just click on an ad to go, oh, that's cute, or oh, that's interesting, and click on it, and then bam, they've already collected our information, and we just keep getting more and more and more. Do we have stuff because it compensates for other deficiencies that we think we have? Like what is wrong with us, or what is lacking about that we feel about us that this package that arrives on our doorstep represents? And since this was also interesting, since the COVID-19 outbreak, now I thought that the COVID-19 outbreak was devastating for many people because so many people lost their jobs. So many people were, on the verge of homelessness. But in fact, the opposite is more true. That many people, the people that kept their jobs, were doing really well, because of the fact that they weren't traveling. A lot of times they weren't spending money on childcare, so they actually had more money to spend. And so the spending, that 2 years became a habit of shopping online, clicking because I like it, doing DoorDash, all of these things that we don't keep track of, because people don't balance their checkbooks anymore. So they're not keeping track of that spending, and many people don't set off with a with a budget anyway. I listened to this podcast the other day from this guy called Mr. Money Jar podcast. And he was saying, I thought this was interesting. I love to budget. Not that I'm great at it, but I love to do it. I love to look at my finances and see where I am, see what I just blew money on, because every once in a while I'll be like, oh, fuck it, I'm just going to go buy this. But he was saying, and I don't know, maybe you have a different budget thing, but he was saying to follow a 50-30-20 rule. So 50% gets spent on your needs, like mortgage, insurances, electricity, internet. 50% gets spent on your needs. 30% gets spent on your wants. So he's not saying you have to deprive yourself, but like even Dave Ramsey talks about, you have to have money set aside for gifts. You have to have money set aside to replace your sneakers, to do that. So those are wants. And then 20% automatically goes into savings. And he said, if you can't get 20% into savings, then at least do 10. So it kind of, when you look at stuff like this, I want to look at downsizing to right-sizing as a process, so that I don't have to judge it. I don't have to criticize it. I don't have to judge myself or criticize myself. Because if I just have a system, if you have a system, then that's the system that's in place. That's what the CEO of Mary Lynch has put in place for me. So I don't have to, it's not like something that I'm holding myself back from joy. And the opposite is happening is, by the end of the month, when I calculate everything that I've spent, I get really excited when I'm on budget. I'm like, how did I do that and still travel and go out to dinner with friends or have friends over for dinner, because it's quite expensive to have people over for dinner. It's not a cheap thing to do, right? But my husband and I love to entertain. So where's the clutter, the visual clutter? How are you going to organize it, purge it, save stuff for a rainy day pile? How can you do that so that it's one and done? So that you don't have to go back and keep reorganizing it. Has anybody ever worked with a designer over at IKEA?
No. I didn't know you could.
Yes.
I didn't know you could.
And they're free, by the way. And you don't have to buy what they design, but you end up with a design. So going from a 1,200 square foot house into a 450 square feet apartment certainly was challenging for my brain, because I couldn't figure out how this was going to happen where somebody wasn't going to get hurt, namely my husband, not me. And I needed to make sure that I didn't want a storage unit. I just don't want a storage unit. And they're pretty much a new thing in Poland. It's not something that Poles ever had before. And they're more expensive than they are in the US. So I went to IKEA and said, this is the bedroom. This is the space that I have. And she said to me, and I wasn't happy, how many pair of underwear do you have? How many bras do you have? How many pair of socks do you have? How many long skirts do you have? How many short skirts do you have? And I had to go through this process of building the space for exactly what I had, with leaving a little bit extra room for heavy winter stuff or that kind of thing. And I was mad. Like I didn't, it took me a couple of weeks to do it because I had a little hissy fit about it. You know, what's she making me do that for? And in the end, she designed exactly what we needed, and I have space left over for other things, but she designed exactly what we needed. And so if you take a look at a really hard look at the stuff, like you know, my first business was as a stationery retailer. I love paper. I like the smell of it. I like books. I don't like to use my Kindle. I want to touch. I want to feel. The paper that I have that's related to my business is daunting, and I might look at these files once or twice a year. And yeah, you know, maybe I use some of the stuff, but none of it is anything that I can't find it again online if I needed it, or that I couldn't scan those files in, those handwritten files in, to have them when I need them on my computer. So what does this downsizing to right sizing? How can you implement that in all areas of your life? Now, relationships. What like what relationships are there out there? I've got to plug in. What relationships are there out there that you are involved in that you just need to cut the strings, cut the apron strings? And it's not always comfortable to do that. Like hey, I don't want you in my life anymore. Like, I don't, like, this isn't working for me. But the weight of that relationship that doesn't serve you any longer is taking a toll on your health. It's taking a toll on your stress level. It's taking up clutter in your head. When the message comes up from them on your iPhone and you're like, oh God, I don't want to answer this kind of thought, that's all clutter. It all derails you from what it is that you're going toward and keeps holding you back. So what does relieving yourself of a relationship that no longer serves you, what does that look like? What is it? If you could, instead of using that person's name, if you could give them like a, like a, hey, Madeline, you could give them like a villain name, for instance, right? You take away their regular name and give them a villain name, and really look at that as what that person represents. Again, how is this showing up to you? Is it that more friends or more people in your life means that you are a nicer person? Like, what is that holding on to a relationship like that mean to you? Try and ask yourself some like questions of why is this, why do you keep holding on to this person or this relationship, even though you're miserable in it, and as Marie Kondo says, it doesn't bring you joy. We're going for joy. Joy is like her, like her thing. The other thing that I like to do, I love this exercise. My husband and I both do this exercise separately, and that's money mapping. Barry Tesler, Bari Tesler, is a money coach, and she, I don't know, 7-8 years ago, wrote an article for Mindful Magazine about money mapping. And I have used this. I use money mapping not only about money, but for like life mapping. And it's the way she talks about it is brilliant. Again, no judgment, no criticism. You've got 3 columns, or in my case, I had 3 different pages. One, the first page, I'll say, was for your basic lifestyle. What is everything that you want for a survival lifestyle? It could be like the lifestyle you have right now. Like, what are your basic needs? Everything. I did people, places, and things in mine. Some people only talk about money and what that money can afford them, but I broke mine down into people, places, and things. What did I need for my bills? What did I need for entertainment, clothing, travel? What was everything that I wanted in my everyday lifestyle? Now, for some people, of course, travel isn't important to them. Maybe a Starbucks coffee is important to them, right? So it's what it is for you in that basic lifestyle. And then she suggests that you sit with that, and then you write about how you feel. Like I often talk about, looking at yourself like an out-of-body experience. So you're looking at yourself, down at yourself, and describe yourself. Like, how do you feel in this basic lifestyle? Like, for instance, my basic lifestyle, is comfortable. Like, I'm comfortable. My bills are paid for. I know that I can cover my bills. I know that I'm putting money into savings, maybe not as much as I want to, but I am. I'm still going out to eat a couple of times a month. Like, I'm not scrimping. This isn't about scrimping. What is it that you want in your basic lifestyle? And then after you write all that down and you talk about what you look like and like, do you feel abundant? Like, do you feel positive? Like, where is there scarcity someplace? Like, where is it showing up someplace? And then she says, take that the next step. So what would your lifestyle upgrade be? If there was 1 or 2 things that you wanted to add into your life, like, for some people, it could be, I want a massage every month. I want a pedicure and a manicure every month or twice a month. I want concert tickets. I want to upgrade my car, or I want to, like what's that next step for you that would make you feel even more abundant? And what are the related costs? And again, after you've done all the work around that and you look at yourself down, begin describing yourself in this upgraded version of yourself. This doesn't mean you have more stuff, right? This might mean you have better stuff, right? Instead of shopping at Zara, you're going to shop at Massimo Dutti or Macy's or Bloomingdale's, right? So it's not about adding more stuff. Then the third part of this is, what would a luxurious lifestyle look like for you? So that's full out. Everything that you've always wanted in your life. Maybe your business, maybe you've bought your dream car. Maybe you bought yourself a second home. That's certainly for me in my luxurious lifestyle is I want a studio apartment some other place on the Mediterranean. I want a place on the Mediterranean. I think I haven't quite decided where, or I thought Spain, but I'm not so sure about Spain anymore. So I haven't found that place yet. But that luxurious lifestyle is there. And what does that, again, look like and feel like? The interesting thing is that when I did this, the monthly difference or the ultimate cost between my basic lifestyle and my upgrade was minuscule. Because it wasn't about more stuff. It was about what I found. It was about who I was in my lifestyle and what I was then doing to get to this upgrade. And it was fascinating. And it took me a couple of days. It wasn't something that I did in one day. It took me a couple of days to really like sift through what I really wanted. And then again, the same thing happened when I looked at my upgraded life to my luxurious life. Because buying a studio condo in the Mediterranean is actually not really a costly endeavor. So when I really sat and looked at it, instead of keeping it all up here and saying that's for somebody else, I can't do that, I don't have that right now, I'm never going to have that, instead of trash talking myself, I was able to look at this and go, oh my gosh, if I just put this much more time into here, if I just got more clear about what I wanted, if I just got more clear about, as a business owner, my client, if I just got more clear about my offerings, what is it that you could get more clear about that would bring about that upgrade? Because it wasn't about the money. It was about me rearranging my life to be able to acquire that upgraded life. It was fascinating. It was really fascinating. I haven't created a workbook on it yet. But when I do, I will certainly share it with you. But it was a fascinating experience, a fascinating thing to go through, because I didn't have to sit in I should have that place in Spain now. Well, we haven't really found the place that we want to settle in. So that needs, it's like that needs to be done first. What do we want that place to feel like? And then how much does that feeling cost? We have a budget in our head, but what is it really? And you get to look at these things without without feeling lack. Like, I don't want you to feel lack in thinking about downsizing. I don't want you to feel lack when you look at what an upgrade in your life would look like, or a luxurious life would look like. It's more of being curious about what that would be. And as I said, it was pretty fascinating for me. And then I had my husband do it separately, and I hadn't shown him my money map. I said, I want you to do this, and then let's sit down and compare, and let's then combine these two and do a money map together. And so now when we plan a trip or we want to go somewhere, we have something to refer back to and say, does this fit into this map? Like if I had a piece of paper with a squirrely road on it, right? And I had a pretend little car or pretend little person or something. And I'm like, okay, so where are we on the road? Where are we right now? Where are we on this journey? Or have we gone off on a side street? And do we want to stay on that side street, or do we need to make a U-turn and get back to where we need to be? So, again, this none of this is about less. It's about, where can I find space for me and my dream life? So one of the fascinating things about, if you're like just talking about downsizing to right sizing, is that one of the top 10 most profitable businesses in the US are owners of storage units. The storage unit business is one of the top 10 most profitable businesses in America. So, like, what is that? What is that? Now, certainly some people have a storage unit for, right? So, Terry, what do you have in your storage unit?
Well, I don't have a storage unit. It's just the garage. I'm going to have to go for another 10 o'clock Zoom that I got.
Okay. All right. So
I just wanted
thanks, Terry.
And sure. And just the background I put on here is the Redwoods 45 minutes north of me. I just people wanted to know about where I live. So
I love
the Redwoods are nearby. Thanks.
You're
okay.
So
bye. See you guys. Sorry
Thanks, Terry. No worries.
Bye.
So it's like, what what does that represent? Okay, so for some people that don't have a big place, maybe they have their business stuff in it, or their holiday decorations or things like that. But on the other side of it, what does it do for you? What does the stuff do for you? And what could happen if it wasn't there? What would open up for you if it wasn't there? Could you feel better? Could you feel smarter? Could you feel more free? And can you get clear about who you are without it? Because all the studies show, like all that, they've got all these psychologists and all these, people that talk about stuff, because we, as Americans, we have so much of it. Actually, the Brits do also. The Brits have a terrible problem with stuff as well. It's not just Americans. But if you could imagine, just like a money map, right? So your basic lifestyle is this, or your current lifestyle is this. Let's do that. Your current lifestyle is this, with all of this. And your next upgrade in life is what's the main focus of the purging? As I said, for me, it would be books. So what do I feel like without all of these books? How can I feel better, bigger, fuller without them? And then my luxurious lifestyle is, what does it then feel like with all of those things released? Relationships, stuff, messiness, confusion. No different than computer files. My computer files, some of them are just atrocious, I have to say. So what does that feel? What does that represent? What does it feel like? Can you feel bigger, better, freer, lighter, smarter, whatever? I have let me share my screen here. I have this workbook that I will put in the chat, and it's called Take It or Leave It. So it's called Take It or Leave It. And it is a simple worksheet that it sometimes can freak you out, because it has on it, excuse me while I scroll down here, don't mean to make your eyes go crazy. It just has 4 simple questions: take it, neutral, leave it, and your commitment. So no different than what I've been talking about all along here. Putting stuff into 3 different piles. Take it. What things about your life right now do you like? Everything. Everything about your life, the clothes that you wear, the people that you have in your life, if you have a business or a job or a career, what about that do you want to keep? A dream, a goal, a desire. What about your life right now, that's in your life right now, do you want to keep? The next thing is to go down to leave it, because these two extremes are the easiest to deal with. So you drop down to leave it and look at everything in your life that you dislike. Everything. Same thing. Clothes, people, career, job, your dream. What about your dream don't you like? Maybe you kind of got, maybe the dream that you have really isn't your dream. A lot of times other people say, oh, you'd be good at XYZ. Like when I sold my first business, I remember explicitly my sister saying to me, who are you without Papier Gourmet, which was my stationery store? Who are you? You are Papier Gourmet. And I freaked out. Where when I originally was approached to sell my business, I thought it was a great idea. But because of what my older sister said to me, I went, oh my God, like apparently I'm nobody. So be careful about looking at your dream life and making sure that it's your dream and not somebody else's. So what do you need to leave? Everything that you dislike about your current life. And then, excuse me, everything in between goes into neutral. Stuff that you really don't care about, you don't think about, like you haven't touched it in 6 months. A relationship where you're like, oh, that person's nice to go out with to drink with, but it's not somebody that's a really close friend, for instance. That would be neutral. And after you do this, and take your time with this isn't something that you need to rush through, because as you walk through the place where you live or hang out, or your neighborhood, or the people that are in your life, you'll add to this. So it's not like it's really ever done, because we're constantly growing and manifesting into this next best version of ourselves. But the final part of this is then the C word, which is what we don't like, which is the commitment. And what commitment are you willing to make to leave those things behind? What commitment are you willing to make in your daily life to get more of the take it? So you can ask yourself these questions. If you're looking at your list, the take it, the leave it, the neutral, if you're looking at your list, what stands out for you? So when I did my first list of this, what stood out for me was that I hadn't set any boundaries. Like I just took it all, and whoever, it didn't matter. I just, it was like the more friends, the better liked I was. I don't know, it meant something to me, right? When in reality, I really like my alone time. I really value my alone time. So who was I, like allowing, saying yes to everything when I really meant to say no? So what stands out for you? Is there like can you link these thought processes between take it, leave it, and neutral? So question number 2, in the leave it section, what one thing, you can only choose one thing, person, place, or thing, right? What one thing, if you left, would make the biggest change in your life? And that can be a hard question, because if it's a person, that can like tear at your heartstrings, right? It can bring some anxiety or nervousness or whatever. If it's, it could be a place that you're living. It could be a business, like even a business that you started, that you're like, you know what, this has morphed itself into something that I don't like, which actually happened to me. I said yes to 2 investors from the Netherlands that wanted to invest in their company, their stationery company in the US, and they were looking for a national sales manager. I already had my business and I didn't want to work for them, but they made it so profitable for me that I said yes to the money instead of saying yes to my goals about what I wanted for my business. And it was a miserable 5 years. I counted the days until that contract was up. I was miserable 85% of the time. So what is the one thing that if you left behind would make the most change in a positive direction in your life? Number 3, again, this is commitment we're talking. What one thing can you do in your daily life to better align with everything in your take it column, or everything that lights you up? What one thing can you do in your daily life? One thing. And I'm not talking about big stuff. I never talk about big stuff. I'm always talking about those small movements. What is that one small change that you can take to better get into alignment with what lights you up, what excites you? Number 4. And this one took me a while to think about and really really feel like I was being honest. What is missing in your life? What's missing? Who is the person, place, or thing that you want to call forth into your life? What is missing in your life? It could be like an intangible thing, like security or health or love. But then you need to describe those. You need to drill that down and describe it. Because in order for us to make a commitment to something, we actually have to get clear about what it is that we're making a commitment to. Because otherwise, it doesn't mean anything. Because our mind can't manifest or call forth something that it doesn't understand. So then again, we get to trash talk ourselves. Nothing about this is trash talking or holding judgment or holding criticism. Question number 5. What about your life are you most satisfied with right now? What about your life are you most satisfied with? It could be that you're profoundly proud, like Gloria, and just ditching everything and moving from Arizona to Portland because she's looking for that lifestyle that speaks to her passionately. What are you most satisfied with your life? Just doing it, getting there, the process. It could be a relationship. It could be the clothes in your closet. It could be your business or your business plan or your career. What does that thing, person, place, or thing that you are most satisfied with in your life, what does that represent? What does it mean to you to be satisfied and not want? What does it mean to be satisfied and feel good about yourself in this moment? And then number 6, what commitment are you willing to make? Commitment or commitments could be plural, right? What commitment are you willing to make to you to be more heavy in the take it file? Where in your life can you get there? The more things that you like about your life, where can you feel more free? Let me see. I don't know how to. I'm going to have to put this in an email, this worksheet, because I'm not really sure how to attach it. So, Gloria, for you, how did this work for you?
It was a long process, of course. And especially if you don't know what your future is going to look like, it's hard to know what to let go of and what to keep because you don't know necessarily what you're going to need, right? So that's an issue. But I think it's important to acknowledge that our ability to make these decisions and let things go really is reliant on our faith in our own future. Because it's such a simple thing, but so I went from living alone to living with other people. So I don't need all my kitchen stuff anymore. Lots of things I don't need, right? But it's going to come back around where I will someday have my own place again. And I'm going to need all this stuff. And so that makes it really hard to let go of, right?
Yeah.
But then the thing is, it's like, Gloria, why do you question your ability to get these things back when you need them? Like for instance, like Portland does this thing where if people have stuff to get rid of, a lot of times they just put it out on the sidewalk with a free sign, right?
Yeah.
Well, there's free stuff all over the place. Why? Like I have to trust myself and know that when I need stuff again, I'll be able to find it. It's not a big deal. But the mind games that we can play in our head around stuff like that are just phenomenal and such a waste of time.
Yes. Yeah, such a waste of time. I love how you said that. And that is when you go to look for the proof. Like you have proof that you can do this.
Yes.
And if we stay focused on that proof not that for me, not that I still don't get anxious about, you know, believing or thinking or looking at the proof all the time. It's not like I go around going, oh, that's no big deal. I got that. I get uncomfortable sometimes. I can, in a split second, I can be back there in, well, I can't do this mode, or I'm too old mode, or I don't know the technology mode, or, like whatever. But I have proof, and so do you. I mean, unless somebody was, pie in the skying it, I think that going through this process can work for anybody. If you're being honest to you and not projecting what other people see for you or want for you or say for you, then I think that if you can stay, I believe from my experience, that if you stay focused on the proof, that the mind clutter can dissipate to a large degree. It's never going to totally go away because we are still humans after all. But that it can dissipate. That we can get to the point where we don't have to buy into it. And that's what I wish for people to happen, is that they don't buy into it. Because I do believe that if you were given a dream, it is meant to manifest. And it is truly us that stops it from happening. I believe that with all my heart. Every ounce of my being believes that. So I think that if we ask ourselves these questions and go through like that money map exercise and go through the take it or leave it exercise, and we really get clear. I don't think we take time to get clear. We say we want stuff. We want a business. We want a house. We want a car. We want a trip. We want these things, but we don't take a look at who we are with them, with that. And therefore we can't define ourselves. And then that's where the fear and doubt comes in, because we haven't partnered with our subconscious to say that this is a believable, I have proof, this is believable. And
sorry.
Okay, go ahead. No.
That's one thing that you've always said that really hit me, is your question of where do you go to get quiet? And I'm like, oh, I'm supposed to be like, is that even a thing? Yeah, of course it's a thing. It's the foundation for everything else, right?
Yeah.
But we just get busy and we don't make time for it. I always think, oh, I'll do that later today, or like whatever. And yeah, and then it just never happens.
Yeah, it's easy, and it's easy to do. Because, we want to take care of other people because that's easy.
Right. True.
That's the easy stuff. I'll tell you, I struggle with it when I come to America because I'm here basically for my girls and my grandkids. But I also have a business to run. And I have to say no sometimes. You know, my granddaughter's like pacing outside the door right here because she wants to go to the pool. And I'm like, we will go to the pool today, I promise. But I have work to do, and it's going to take me a couple of hours. So you're going to have to figure it out, right? And so I, you know, can easily go down the guilt, shame, embarrassment, or, you know, ridicule myself, talk really easy when I'm in America. It's very unbecoming to me. Like I don't, it's a love-hate relationship I have in coming to America. I love being here. I love being with my family. I want to be here for them. I want to make my daughters' lives easier. They both work full time and have kids. I want to make their life easier, you know, do the laundry, clean up the kitchen, make dinner, take care of the grandkids, take them places. Like I in my head, I want to do those things. But I also have a commitment to me. And how can I have a commitment to me when I see them so little? What right do I have to have a commitment to me? That's the thoughts. Those are the thoughts that I have to really check in with when I'm here. Every single time. And before I come, I'm constantly talking to myself about this time I'm not going to feel that way. And every single time I'm still like, shit, okay. And I try and let everybody know my schedule, my work schedule, you know, what clients I've got. This is the time I'm going to be online. You know, other than that, I'm here for you. You know, like I try and be like really communicative about, you know, me and what makes me light up. Because if I, just like that, what is it, Marianne Williamson? You know, don't dim your light for other people. I mean, that's it. If I dim my light, I'm not a nice person. Like I'm not a nice mother. I'm not a nice grandmother. So I have to be true to who I am. But if we don't take the time to describe that and look at it and be okay with that, then we're saying yes to the wrong things. So, well, I'm happy for you, Gloria.
Thanks.
I'm happy, you know, it's no small feat what you did. I know, I recognize that. I know that. But I think it's great. I think it's been a while coming for you, huh?
Yeah, it has.
Yeah. That's great.
Question as always is now what?
Yeah.
Now what?
Yeah.
We'll see.
Right. Right. And part of doing this work is taking those small steps into the now what without financially sabotaging yourself. Because women are famous for doing that. Because we want to look outside ourselves for the answer when we have the answer all along. But it's not cool to step into it. And if it were cool to step into it, then what would the cool thing to do be today? Next week is just a simple, you know, like talk about, are you braving midlife? Like, what does that mean? I know what it means for me, and I know how I got to that name, but how can we look at midlife as not a crisis? How can we look at this time as, I'm going to figure shit out? And now is the time to figure it out. And how can I look at myself in that ultimate lifestyle and find the path to get there and define it. I think, again, you know, as you said earlier, I don't think that I just don't think that we take the time to define things. Maybe it's we're not committed, it's too much fear. But again, if we don't define that, I'm fearful of living a really cool lifestyle. For me, my parents died at a young age. I didn't have any old people around me. I didn't have any elders around me. So I'm making shit up as I go. And that's a little uncomfortable. I live in a country where babcias, which is grandmother in Polish, is a babcia with a kerchief over her head, all scrunched over. That's a babcia. Like, when I go and do workshops in Poland at either high schools or the university, and I tell the students that I'm the same age as their babcia, they're like my babcia doesn't look like you. Right? So I defined that for myself. So how can you define it? So that's what we're going to talk about next week. All right, so I am going to put in this workbook once the recording of this gets all done. I will add in the workbook if you choose to use it. You can. If it helps, that's great. And thanks for showing up.
Thank you.
All right, ciao. Bye, Eileen.